All right, we're back here with another practice report, this time at Elkhorn North. The rain came a little bit, delayed the start of practice a couple of hours, but got some work in. They're still getting a little work in behind me here. Let's start with the knowns. Again, knowns, unknowns, couple breakout guys this year for the Wolves who look to be pretty formidable in Class B this year, in my opinion. So the knowns, the interior offensive defensive line is definitely a known. Northern Iowa commit Sam Thomas had 13 tackles for loss last year and 2 sacks. He's going to play both ways, play some defensive end, some offensive tackle. They're going to run behind him on the offensive side of the ball. But a couple of other guys. Center Brock Marler had 7 tackles for loss last year. He's going to play some defensive tackle. Also, Sam Huff, defensive end. He's a junior. He had 4 tackles for loss last year. And another guy that's going to be in the conversation, named to look out for, is Cole Dalbert, offensive lineman, defensive lineman. So feel really good about that. Obviously, another position group that is a known for them is wide receiver and tight end. Chase Lofton, who has multiple power conference offers. He had 577 yards receiving last year and 5 touchdowns. The junior looks pretty good out here. Runs around pretty well, strong hands, big hands. Made a couple nice catches in kind of some 7-on-7 time here. Thomas Mechna is a guy that I think could have a pretty big year for the Wolves. He had 201 yards last year receiving and 4 touchdowns. He also had 3 interceptions on the defensive side of the ball, but I think those two and a couple of other guys at wide receiver, tight end have a big year ahead of them, in my opinion. Linebacker is another one that they feel really good about. That position group looks really good. Chris Thiessen had a team-leading 78 tackles last year. He's a senior this year, probably going to improve on that. Another guy at outside linebacker and going to play some wide receiver is Jace Reynolds, just a sophomore, played a lot for them towards the end of the year last year for the Wolves, and gonna have a nice year. Running back is looks pretty good too. I think that's a fourth known. Jet Tinglehoff is a junior. He only had 228 yards rushing last year and 3 touchdowns, but kind of replacing and going to be the main guy this year for them. He had 24 receptions and 346 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns receiving. He's going to be used a lot. He also had 3 interceptions last year on the defensive side of the ball. Unknown, well, you're replacing a quarterback, but Johnny Ferguson looks pretty good. Definitely going to use him in some zone read. They did some inside zone and inside run stuff with him. He can pull the ball down and run it. He showed that a little bit this morning. He also defensively was one of their best players on the defensive side of the ball. We'll see if they use him on both sides of the ball. He had 68 tackles and 7.5 tackles for loss last year for the Wolves. But he looks to be pretty good. He throws a nice ball. He's got big receivers to throw it to, but his legs will be an absolute threat for them. Another unknown is defensive back. They're replacing 2 starters from last year. A couple of names to watch there that might be in the mix are Nathan Kudran, and he's a junior, and Alex Uckman, he is a sophomore. So that's kind of the little bit of unknowns. Breakout guys, a couple of guys to keep an eye on. Jace Reynolds, we talked about. I think he probably has a pretty big year. Just a sophomore at wide receiver and outside linebacker. Ethan Beachy is a sophomore at safety, and Hunter Rosenbaum is also a sophomore at safety. Safety is one of those kind of question marks, I guess, a little bit for the team. They don't really want to use Ferguson on the defensive side of the ball, so it'll be up to Beachy and Rosenbaum to fill in and kind of help out in that role. All right, that's it from Elkhorn North.